Good morning. Good morning. I greet you this morning in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We come this day to celebrate a gift that we probably didn't appreciate all the times that it was given to us. And yet it was a gift that was taken away. No, it's a gift that we can keep with us for eternity. For every day we had with Jim was a special day. And as long as we remember, those days remain special. If you shed a tear today, that's fine. We have some Kleenex around. You don't have to sign the red book. We're not checking to see who's here that way. We do hope you did sign the book as you came in. We will gather after the service for a time of food and hilarity and frivolity, because I'm sure we have some good remembrances that we can share. Some of which we better not share in here. Just to be on the safe side. Seriously though, we pause to remember, yes, but we pause to give thanks that Jim is a victor. We weep, yeah, we shed tears for ourselves, not for Jim. For Jim has completed his tasks, finished sooner than we thought he would, but he has been welcomed home as a good and faithful servant. Just as Jesus promised, those who are willing to believe, those who are willing to come to him, are his forever. The first step is the whole journey, and we know Jim took that step a long time ago. Join me in prayer. Oh Lord, we come with sad hearts, but we're confident that soon you will replace the sorrow in our heart with the ultimate joy of rejoicing with our friend, our brother, Father, whatever our relationship is with him, knowing that he has completed his task and he has stayed the course, and he wears the victor's laurel, for truly he is the victor in life. Not always an easy task for him, but one he faced well, not shirking, but completing. So touch our lives, our hearts this day as we remember. Touch us as we share, touch us, Lord, as you touched his heart, and bring us home as well. We ask all of this in the name of Christ. Amen. I appreciate the words of Ecclesiastes, where it says, there's a time in life for everything, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to wage war and a time to find peace. But at the end of that passage, part of it that we hardly ever read, about 2 verses after it, all of the times for, it says, and God finds great pleasure in the labors of man. And Jim labored diligently, happily, gladly, with great enthusiasm to do the things that he did. So I know that God rejoiced in his tasks. And also when we read in 1 Corinthians, the love passage, it ends with these words, love never dies. Love never dies. If you would turn with us into number 77 in the hymnal, it's either under you or in front of you, we will sing together, How Great Thou Art. Jim was born December 22nd, 2000. No, he died. Get it right here. Born in Ohio. And it's a long journey from Ohio to Fort Mojave. A journey of miles, but more than that, a journey of events, of challenges, of relationships, friendships, tasks, laughter, disappointment, pain. But he made it with a smile. His effervescence filled the room when he was here. He was like me. I think he spent a long time in the Army. He was a hero for 7 years. I was only a hero for 2 years. He worked at it longer. But he did a lot of different things, and he was intrigued with electronics, intrigued with people. So if you have a memory that you'd like to share, a thought, a comment, I'd like to invite you to do so now. Jeff, you want to start?
Okay. My name's Jeff. Jim's son, oldest son. I apologize already for rambling, but a lot of thoughts. My dad and I never didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but he was always there. You can somewhat blame me, I think, for part of his electronic passion. There's memories of having the very first Pong game at the trailer, all the way to the point that he got me in trouble in college. I was at the University of Toledo in Ohio. He came up one weekend, he says, "Hey, we're going to go buy an Apple II computer." Okay. So we literally did it on a whim, went from Toledo to Tiffin, where he was living at the time. I didn't have a chance to tell my roommate or anybody, so he basically kidnapped me for the weekend as we set up this computer. He knew little to nothing. I knew a little bit more than that, and so that was his journey into the computer world. And so ever since then, he has continued to upgrade and call me, "Hey, what do I do? How do I make this work?" And then followed through a passion of mine of television and creating Channel 1 out of Tiffin, editing and stuff like that. I did that when I was in high school and college, and he'd helped me even in high school. We were doing basketball games and broadcasting them on the local channel in Findlay, and he'd come to the game just to watch to see how we did things, and that's what got him started into that endeavor in Tiffin. So, like I said, there's times that we just didn't see eye to eye on certain things, but I always knew he loved me and loved the family. That was meant a lot to him. I guess the other big memory was the day that he brought Lador over to our apartment and introduced us. Talk about a guy that just had a smile from ear to ear. That was an amazing time, and he brought a lot of joy, I know, into her life, and I couldn't be happier. We picked up a great lady. I guess the one parting thing, so I don't ramble too long, is I really feel sorry right now for the folks that are in the service industry, telephone support, because I'm sure there are a few people that have just lost their job, because that was my dad's hobby, was calling technical support to how to get this to work or how to get that to work. So I apologize, but that was his job. It really was what he loved to do. So I know we'll all miss him, but he is in a better place, and I know I'll love him forever.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else with a memory or thought?
everybody can see me. I'm so short. I don't know if the kids really know the story about how we met. And this is a funny story, but it's true. I worked at Autumnwood Care Center nursing home, and I knew his dad from there. And the nursing home sat right in the middle, and the driveway came in and went around and out. And on the side where the driveway went out, there was a duplex, and that's where his mom and dad lived. His mom couldn't take care of his dad anymore. His dad's name was Ed. And so he brought him over to the nursing home. And what I remember about Jim is he'd always would come in there on a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And I managed to be in that room. I was divorced, and I was looking. And I said to his dad, I said, there's somebody over there in your house on the grounds mowing the grass. And he looks pretty nice. And I said, is that the caretaker? And he goes, no, that's my son. Well, I turned 6 shades of red. And I said, okay, well, I said, does he have a girlfriend? Yeah, he does. So I said, I'm moving on, and I did. I went to another town for a year. That didn't work out, and I came back and I asked Autumnwood if I could have my old job back. And we did. I got it back, and but his dad was gone. So I said, is Ed still here? Ed Mielek? And he said, no. So anyway, one day, my daughter Melissa, that lives in Havasu now, I said to her, I said, let's go out and get something to eat. So we went to a restaurant called the Pancake House. And when we went in there, the waitress took us clear to the back and in the corner, and back there was a gentleman sitting in this corner, and she put us over here in the other corner, and Melissa said, do you see that cigarette that guy's got? You look at his ashes. He needs to flick them. So I said, I think I know that guy. And she says, you do? And I said, yes, I think I do. But anyway, the waitress came up and we placed our order and everything. And I ordered a stack of pancakes, strawberries, whipped cream on it. Well, when the waitress brought it, I said, excuse me, but I don't think I can eat all of that. And I says, that gentleman back in the corner, you might take it back to the kitchen and cut them in half and give it to him. Anyway, to make this a shorter story, we went and paid, and he came up and to the register, and he says, I think I know you. And he said, I said, you do? I said, well, I think I know you too. And he says, well, how's Tiffin Ford? It's a dealership in Ohio that sold cars. And he says, how's Tiffin Ford, Nancy? I said, well, I'm not Nancy. I said, I'm Ladora. He goes, oh, I was looking for you. I went back to Autumnwood and asked where you got to. And I said, what'd they tell you? They said you moved away. I said, well, I'm back now. And he says, do you have a date? And I said, yeah, I do have a date. I said, it's a long distance, and that's not working out. So I said, well, he says, can you go tomorrow night? And I said, yes, I'll have a date with you tomorrow night. So from about the October the 17th to November the 17th, I had Jim for 30 years. But he thought I was somebody else. Jim, I love you and I will miss you. And your church family loves you. And you're with God. And I will join you when it's time. But I've already asked God. I said, God, in one of my prayers, I pray every night. And once in a while I'll say, God, I like the number 100. Could I see that? So I love you and I miss you.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I wore pink today in honor of Jim's pink shirts that he wore to church a lot. His support of breast cancer awareness and his support of the women in his life.
Anyone else?
I'm Ladora's daughter, Melissa, and I live in Lake Havasu. And I tried to put something together to say about Jim. And there's just so many things that I just couldn't get it all to come together. More than just a man. He was a son, he was a brother, he was a father, a grandfather, but most of all, he was a friend. He was someone that we called all the time. If we're on a trip, we need someone to talk to because we're tired. Call me. I'll be here. I'll keep you awake on the road. And that we did. We had questions. Call Jim. He's got the answer. Jim doesn't have the answer. He's got the computer. He'll Google it for you. A lot of times Jim stood out among the crowd. He lived a life on his terms. He didn't worry about what other people thought of him. He stood for what he believed in, whether you agreed or you didn't. Like Ladora said, from the first day he came into our life, he took us and loved us as his own. People come to your life and you have no idea the impact that they'll make on your life. And the impact that Jim made on my life will last forever. And the days we had together, when we say goodbye, were just not enough. I love you, kid.
Thank you.
I'm Jim's birthday buddy. When we discovered that we had the same birthday, we would give each other extra hugs, and I would get into more visits with him. And at the rummage sale time, I seemed to get to know him a little bit better, and he was really kind of what I would say as a role model for all of us in the way that he talked about. He was very honest, and he said, you know, I haven't always been the man that I am now, and he's working, and so don't we all want to work to get better and better? And I could see that journey that we all want to be on to become a better and better person, and that was a role model for me. But and he said about my husband, he says, I don't know if he knows me or not. I keep speaking to him, and he looks at me like, And he said, so one time I went up to him and he says, hi, I'm Jim, and Joe said hi, and they got into a really great conversation. And I'm sure, if you know my Joe, he probably got to see the cartoon of the day that Joe brings to church every Sunday. But Jim was a wonderful role model in the fact that he was becoming a better and better man. And his love for Ladora, oh my goodness, when he would speak of that, I just thought, who wouldn't want to be loved that way? He was just a wonderful man and a good role model.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, first of all, thanks for coming and celebrating Jim's life. He lived it to the fullest, as my sister and mom said. My name is Trish. I am one of my mom's daughters of 3. Jim had a few nicknames for everyone, and Missy said one of them, Kid, and Booger was a favorite amongst all of them. He always called me Trishy, but Booger mostly. Along with his nicknames for everyone and everything, he also had a quirky way of doing things and going about his day. He had his own style. Jim had no boundaries, which was what made him so special, and each and every one of us can contribute his life to that. He was a man who wasn't going to be boxed in. And I remember one time in New Hampshire, there were a lot of trees. He came and visited us with Mom, and he sat on my deck, and he was like, I can hear the car, but I can't see it. Your trees are boxing me in. And he wanted to leave as soon as he got there because of that. Along with that was the windy roads in New Hampshire, and he's like, I don't understand why someone can't just draw a straight line and pave it. So he didn't like it there, and the trees and the cars and the streets were closing him in. I don't think he ever went back outside on the deck after that. And as the quirkiness was what made Jim so special. Oh, I just lost my place, I'm so sorry. As his quirkiness made Jim special and allowed us to love Jim for who he is, I can't help but think that now he isn't boxed in anymore. Although I know he isn't calling God Booger, I'm not sure what God's nickname is yet, and one day we'll find out. I do know that his best view, looking down, no trees to block him. He's not boxed in anymore. He only has an open sky, so that way he can look amongst his friends at church and my mom. And he has his Lord by his side to help him. And I know that that's what makes him not so boxed in, and I love you.
I wrote this for Ladora, and she asked me if I'd read it today. And it's just called Jim. I met a man the other day, not knowing that he would not stay. He's married to a friend of mine. We didn't know he had no time. He looked so vibrant, so alive, always helping with so much drive. A man whom everybody loved, but he was called by God above. He only looked half his age. God didn't let him turn that page. He'll be missed by everyone here. His family will always hold dear. His wife so strong, a joy to know. With God, she'll continue to grow. We'll all help her to carry through because we know her heart is true.
I've only known Jim a couple of years, but a couple of instances in the past year have, I just wanted to relay them to you. I can't talk very well, so I wrote them down so that I could read it to you. Jim was putting together the church directory when he came across an app that would help put the photos in place. He asked me to try it, and I laughed and told him that computers and I don't get along. But I tried it and it worked the first time. The following Sunday, he asked the congregation to try it, saying, if my friend Ron can do it, anyone can do it. Another instance, and this one was interesting to me too. The following Sunday, we had a conversation about all the meetings like this that we were going to, all the services we were attending for those that had died, and he said he listened to all the good things that people said about those that had passed on, and he worried that what people would say about him because there was nothing good. And he said that he was going to go home and write something that someone could read about what he thought was good about him. I never saw what he wrote down, but I think he would be happy with what he said about whatever people have said about him today.
Anyone?
Good morning, everyone. I don't have a computer, so that precious Jim always made me a copy of something that he had written. I'm sorry I have my back to some of you. And this was about 5 couples of us went over to their home for dinner.
Closer to your mouth.
Closer to my mouth? Wow. And it's entitled, Be Still and Know. How often do we stop and listen to the quiet? Our everyday life is full of sounds, noises mostly. Many get our attention like bells, sirens, and whistles. We hear them, heed them, or ignore them. We associate them with living. There are other sounds that are much more important. We should all take the time each day to seek out a bit of silence in our lives. Those moments where we open our hearts and our minds. We need to get on the same wavelength with our Creator. Be still and know that God is always with you. He speaks to me in the quiet times. I can't truly say that I've ever heard his voice. I've listened to him in the song of a bird. He speaks to me in the sigh of a baby, the purr of a kitten, the rustling of leaves moved by a gentle breeze, and the splash of raindrops. My thoughts are also God's way of speaking to me. Sometimes Satan hacks in on some of the line communication. Pressures of everyday living makes it easy for him to break into our thoughts. I need to make a conscious effort to push away his voice. I need to find that serene place in my heart and mind, that frequency where I know God is. I need to listen to quiet. Be still and listen. Be still and know that God is always there. It's up to us to listen. I think this is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. You want either way, you want?
I'll go on.
Okay.
I'm Ellen Melick. I'm married to Jeff. Ron had said something about Jim writing something down. Well, after Jim passed away, his 2 sons came to help out Ladora, and they were going through some of Jim's things, and it ended up being kind of a joke how many thousands of sticky notes that Jim had in his office, and he would think of something, write it down on a sticky note, and set it somewhere. Well, the boys found a couple sticky notes that Jim had written something down, so maybe this is what Jim was thinking. And this is in Jim's handwriting, so in a picture of it, I'll try to read it. So this is in Jim's handwriting, what he said. It says, "Do not mourn my passing. Instead, in some way, celebrate the fact that you and I were able to participate and enjoy our time together going through this life. I have gone beyond. I'll be looking for all of you on the other side." So that's, I think, Jim's message to everybody, that he was glad to have you as a part of his life, and he'll see you on the other side. So I just wanted to share a little something.
Jeff and I have only been married 8 years, and some of the first people that I met when Jeff and I were dating were Jim and Ladora. We came out here to visit them at the time we lived in Michigan. And right away, they didn't know me, and right away we walk in the front door and Jim and Ladora just embraced me and how happy they were to meet me and how they made me feel like a part of the family the very first minute I met them. And as with my husband, Jim and I didn't always see eye to eye and we'd butt heads, but we always said in the end we loved each other, and family was so important to Jim. I mean, that was his family and friends and having fun and making sure everyone knew how much he cared about them, and he always did that. The other thing I wanted to say, and I remember this, and I won't go into too much detail, but Jim knew that he wasn't always the perfect person. I mean, he'll be the first to admit that he was a work in progress. But I do remember, one day he said to the boys, I know maybe I wasn't always the best father, but I'm here now and I'm here for you, and I just ask for your forgiveness. Will you forgive me? And both boys said, we forgive you. And so, when someone passes, you have that to hold to your heart that, maybe they've done things or you've been upset with them, but forgiveness is there and you need to hold on to that. And that's an important lesson in life, is don't hold grudges, don't hold something against something. Because like Jim, you never know when they're going to be gone from your life. So we can, that's one thing that Jeff, my husband, held on to, is that, I forgave my dad and we loved each other, and we, just a few days before he passed, we said, I love you. We love each other, and Jim always told people he loved them before he would hang up the phone or say goodbye. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to say a few things. My name's Justin. I'm Jeff's son. Jim was my grandpa. Similar to what Ellen and my dad said already, my grandpa and I absolutely did not see eye to eye on pretty much anything. But similarly, another few things that I had in common with my grandpa, love for electronics and getting into all that sort of thing. That's something I know we bonded on when I was much littler. But kind of getting back into not seeing eye to eye, that's something that was, there's friction there for sure. And 2 years ago, I came out here for only the second time I was out here, and I was legitimately nervous to call in because my partner and I we were coming through this area and we wanted to come and see Grandma and Grandpa when we're out here, and I was legitimately nervous to call them and say, hey, let's see if we can stop by. But as everybody said, he was more than happy to kind of put everything on the test, and we saw him. It was fantastic. It was great. Great to be able to come out here. I think I took from that a lot of things. I teach at a university, and what I took from that, is everyone's kind of said, my grandpa had his own ways of seeing the world and seeing things. There weren't ever ways that I truly understood or saw any logic in most of the time. But I take that back with me in my own teaching, in my own profession, and I see, he had a way to critically think that was different than others. And I take that, and whenever in my practice, when I teach, I'm always I take a very contrarian perspective a lot of the time and present different views of thinking. When I do that, I'll always think of my grandpa and his different ways of thinking about things, and how that could, help shape the world and make it a more interesting and vibrant place.
Hi, I'm Al Whitney. I'm Jim and Ladora's neighbor. And I've only known Jim and Ladora for, just a few years. And they always welcomed me in to their home. And not everybody got along with Jim, but, we never really had a problem. Everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. I could probably go on for hours. But Jim would always show me all his stuff that he had electronic-wise and show me all the videos and the cameras that he had set up around the house of the neighborhood. Always keeping an eye on things. And probably about almost 6 years ago, I got sick, almost passed away. And Jim and Ladora was always come to see me. I was in Vegas for 3 months. And Jim told me after I got home that he didn't believe that I could survive what I went through. And he made sure that I was on the prayer list and everybody prayed for me, even though I didn't know anybody. I just couldn't understand how people could pray for somebody they didn't know. So that kind of changed my faith. And like I said, I could probably go on for hours with things that, you know, we shared together and things that Ladora didn't know we shared together. So I'm always telling her things that she never really realized. And I've told her that anything she needs, I'm always there for her. And I want to thank everybody for coming. And like I said, I can talk forever, but glad everybody could make it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, okay.
Hi, I'm Sheila. I'm Ladora's oldest daughter, and I'm from Yuma. And first, I just want to say thank you to all of you. Both Jim and Ladora love all of you as your family, and I cannot express how much we appreciate you being our mom's pillar during this time, because she needs all of you, and she's not good at asking for help. Unless it's the computer, she will ask for help. I had a different relationship with Jim than what my sisters had, because he came into their life when they were younger, and I was already moved out. And what I just want to share that I love and appreciate, and I'm ever so grateful to Jim for, is the way that he took our mother in and loved her unconditionally, as he did with all of us, and the way that he provided for her. He was her main concern, as is his family. And Steve and Jeff, he loves you guys so much, so much. So I just want to share that with you, that we all obviously have differences with everybody, and we all seem to have had some of those with Jim, which we now love and appreciate. But he was a very giving and loving man, and I can never express the gratitude that I have for the love that he has shared to his family, and especially to our mom. And I want to say thank you to all of you for being there for her to help her get through this. Thank you.
Hi. Oh, sorry. I am Melissa's daughter, and Jim was my grandpa. I hear more about these differences, and I'm like really confused, because we were pretty much one and the same. Sometimes when me and my brother would go out to our family members, my brother, in case you don't know, he's a bit of a spectacle when it comes to entertaining people. So every time we would go out to like family, they'd be like, oh my goodness, look at him, what is he doing? Like, what? And when I would come down to visit Grandma Ladora, and
my brother and I call Jim Pawpaw, which is, I don't know, we're weird and we do things like that. But we would go and I'd sit in his computer room and we would talk for hours and we'd eat snacks. And my brother would just be in far off land doing what, who knows what, really. And I really felt like I was like one of the kids that like mattered, or like, not mattered, but was impactful. And it would be so funny, maybe sitting there, it's like, look at this grandkid, look at what their amazingness is. I'm like, that's so cool. So like, he like wouldn't spend more time with any one of us. Like, he made sure like we all felt important and we all had our moments. Like, even if like we came in cranky or we rarely called, like we all had valued time. And I just like, that's like the most impactful thing that he left with us, like making sure that we were all important and we all felt like we were a piece of him and he was inside like us and like his like being.
I don't care.
I'm done.
I need one of those microphones. My microphone seems to be giving a lot of static, so you get to do this. I like Jim. Jim used to come to church saying it's the only place he could find his wife. She was always busy doing something. But you know, one of the things that us men do every once in a while when we're set free and our wives go away is we get to play hooky and we get to lay around the house and do nothing. But on Sunday morning, Jim was in his seat. He found a great deal of comfort in this place. We went through a lot of doctor visits with him. We went through some illnesses with him. We went through some pretty tough times. And at the very end, he was going to see his doctor, tell him how great everything was. And pause for a moment and think. He was right. He was right. At that moment, he was in a perfect place to be called home. He had found peace here. He had found comfort in his health. He had found busyness that was productive. He wanted, if he got involved in a cause, he was involved. He didn't give lip service to anything. It was, let's do it now, kind of a thing. He wanted to throw a dinner so we could raise money for the Walk for Life, or the Relay for Life. And I convinced him a dinner wasn't the way to go, and so we agreed on a non-dinner. He and I got together and decided that the congregation would support my effort to lose some weight. So it became a non-eating program. And this congregation was the largest non-corporate sponsor of the Relay for Life that year. Who says you can't make money off the fat of the land? He was eager to talk to you. He was eager to listen to you. Yeah, he didn't always agree with me. I didn't always agree with him. But you knew that whatever he got his heart set on, whatever he was willing to tackle, whatever he was willing to embrace, he was going to give it 100%. He didn't halfway do anything. Frank Cook said we ought to have a directory. He said to Jim, we ought to have a directory. And the next thing we know, Jim has found a program that put together a great directory. As you'll see when we have them, and we'll be passing them out tomorrow at church. But right now, he wanted to do it. He wanted to do it not this Sunday, but he wanted to do it last Sunday. He was so eager when he found a project, so eager when he found something to embrace, so eager that effervescence just flowed. He always came to me to get permission to do something, and Kept thinking, he's going to do it anyway, I might as well say it. He went to tell the doctor everything was fine. Just in time to tell God everything is fine. We'll remember him. Yeah, for his argumentative, for the troubles he went through that we got to share, we got to assist, we got to be part of his life. Because he didn't hide those things. He didn't go off in a corner. He presented himself that we might love him, the whole him. Not just pieces, not just parts, but all of him. That's what we celebrate today, is that each one of us has not just a little piece of him in our heart, but we have all of him, because he gave himself completely, that we might be able to know him as he knew his God. Isn't I, Lord? Right? 593. Here I am, Lord.
Say
We could have you sing again. Come tomorrow morning. Tears are good. Let them flow. Be still and hear Him. Hear Jim, but most of all, hear the Lord. That He might touch your hearts and bring you His peace. That peace that passes all understanding. Lord, we ask you to bless the food that we'll share, the hands that have prepared it, and the love we have for one another, and the love you have for